All right, good morning, fifth grade. You should be wide awake and ready to start the day. But if you remember yesterday, before we finished class, I told you all to head out late last night and take a look at the stars. It was supposed to be a very beautiful night last night, so you should have seen quite a few stars. So we're going to take a tour of the stars today. Have you ever looked up into the sky at night and tried to connect the stars? Maybe you did this yesterday evening. Did you see a pattern? If you did see a pattern, does that pattern stay in the same place all year round? In our Tennessee Science Standards, we have for fifth grade 5.ESS 1.6, which says to use tools to describe how stars and constellations appear to move from Earth's perspective throughout the seasons. So for this, we need a little bit, this is in our Earth and Space Science category, and we need a little bit of background information first. You're fifth grade, so you know that the seasons are fall, winter, spring, and summer. Okay, we just started fall, and so we are in one of our seasons right now, and we are going to focus on if you're standing from Earth's perspective, so on Earth, looking up at the sky, what tools can we use to describe how stars and constellations appear? So we're going to start with a little bit of background information. Our objective for today is to determine what causes the stars and constellations to appear to move throughout the seasons and what tools can be used to describe this movement. Our key terms. Now, for this PowerPoint, you definitely want to be taking notes because later on we're going to have some assignments we need to complete over the weekend, and one of those is fill in the blank, and you will need some of the information off of this PowerPoint in order to do this, but we have recorded it so you can always look back and find the information that you need. Our key terms for today are star, constellation, rotation, revolution, apparent motion, planisphere, and sky chart. So what is a star? Hopefully you've seen some of these last night. A star is a luminous ball of gas, mostly hydrogen and helium, held together by its own gravity. A star starts out in giant clouds of dust known as nebula. Gravity forces the dust to bunch together. Then as gravity gets stronger, it starts to get hot and becomes a protostar. A protostar will eventually become a star once the center gets hot enough and nuclear fusion occurs. Now, can you guess which star is closest to the Earth? If you guess the sun, you are correct. And a little bit of information about the sun is that it's actually just an average star. Even though it looks very big to us and very bright, it's not the hottest star out there. What is a constellation? A constellation is a name given to a group of stars in the sky that make up a certain pattern. Sometimes that pattern is imaginary, and when the sky is clear, these patterns can be seen from Earth without the use of a telescope. Fun facts about constellations. Now you want to pay attention to this number. Hint, hint. There are 88 named constellations. 88 named. They take many forms such as mythological creatures, animals, people, or objects. Over here to the right, you can see a couple of the constellations, and we'll talk about Orion a little bit later on, but Orion is known as our hunter. Here's Taurus. And our uses for our constellations is that in ancient times, before things like a compass were invented, people, especially people that were on ships, used to use the stars for navigation. They would look up at the stars, and by watching the stars, they could determine where they needed to go. It's also been used for planting and harvesting crops. Now, two of our constellations we want to focus on. These are actually some of the most popular. You may have actually heard of them. They're the Ursa Major and the Ursa Minor. They're located in the northern hemisphere, which is where we are, and they rotate in the sky throughout the seasons. Ursa Major is known as the Big Bear, and that's this one over here to your left on the screen. Ursa Minor is known as the Little Bear. In Ursa Major, it actually contains an asterism that you may have heard of called the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is not a constellation in itself. It's an asterism made up of 7 stars that are included in the constellation Ursa Major. Okay, and as I was reading about this, it said that there was an ancient myth, because sometimes these were used for storytelling. There was an ancient myth about the Greek god Zeus, and he was very jealous of a woman and her son. So he put a curse on them and changed them into a big bear and a little bear, hence the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Now, on to the question of the day. How do stars and constellations appear to move from Earth's perspective throughout the seasons? As you can see, we just talked about the Big Dipper. In March, it looks like it's upside down. In June, it is turned sideways. In September, just a few months later, it's right side up. In December, it's turned sideways. But what causes this movement? We're going to watch a little video. And this is a time-lapse video about the moving stars of the Northern Hemisphere. It's really neat to watch and maybe focus on a band of stars, like this band of stars here, and watch them move across the sky. And what these researchers did is they took time-lapse videos over a period of time, and then when they stopped the video and they put it all together, you can see how it looks like the stars are spinning. This is looking east to the rising sky. You can see this band of stars here seems to be moving up towards the top of our screen. So if we were down here on the ground looking up, this is what we would see in this part of the world. And you can see it looks like it's spinning all around this point here. Now we're looking north to the circumpolar sky. You can see this big band of stars here. These brighter ones, they're going now closer to these trees here at the bottom. And it just looks like they're constantly moving and spinning. Okay, now we're going to be looking south to the seasonal sky, dusk to dawn. And you can see this big bright group of stars here seems to be moving across from the left side of the screen to the right. They're just constantly moving over this time-lapse video. Now, this wasn't taken in one night. This is taken, over a period of time. And you can see it looks like they're all going in this direction across your screen. So what causes this? The constellations appear to move due to the fact that Earth spins on its axis. Due to Earth's rotation, which is the term for the Earth spinning on its axis, stars appear to move. As the Earth rotates from west to east, the stars appear to rise in the east, move across the south, and set in the west. In addition to Earth's rotation, it's not only rotating, but it's also making a revolution around the sun. Our revolution takes 365 days, which is a year. That's our yearly motion, and our rotation takes 24 hours for Earth to rotate once on its axis. The Earth's rotation axis is tilted 23.5 degrees, and it's this tilt that is the main reason for our seasons change. For example, in summer, the sun's rays hit the Earth with more energy being concentrated in each location as a result of the sun being high in the sky. Explain this to me, please. Okay, so simply put, Earth moves in a way to make it appear that the constellations are moving. It's actually an optical illusion. That's known as apparent motion. Apparent motion, where stationary objects viewed in relation to moving objects appear to be in motion. So for an example, if you're sitting on a school bus and there's a school bus next to you, and the school bus that you aren't on moves forward, it can make it feel like you are actually moving backwards when you're just sitting still. So here are our tools that we're going to be experimenting with. We're actually going to be focusing on the planisphere that is over here on the left. This one over here to the right is known as a sky chart, and we won't do much focusing with that one today, but we're going to focus on the planisphere. If we would have been in class, we would have had these printed off and we would have put these together and we would have played around with them a little bit. But since we are virtual, we're going to be using a virtual planisphere. This is what the printed planisphere looks like, and there's many other options too. And one I want you to take a look at is on this YouTube link here. These are your important links. You're going to take a look at this YouTube video here at the top, and it goes into detail about how to use a printed planisphere, how to hold it, how to move it. so you can see the constellations moving. And we're going to use a virtual planisphere. Our virtual planisphere link is down here at the bottom. And once you click on this, I have the directions. It's really easy to get to, but as always, if you have any questions, your parents can get a hold of me, Class Dojo, or you can ask me on Google Classrooms. So our directions, once you click on this link, is you're going to go to the virtual planisphere and you're going to hit Launch Planisphere. Okay, it'll be right in the middle of your screen. Can't miss it. Once you do, this image over here to your right should appear. Okay, you want to select constellations and hotspots. Now on mine, constellations and hotspots was already selected, so you may not have to change anything, but if it is red, you want to make sure that it lights up green. Then you're going to go down here and select today's date and time. Once you do that, and it's very simple, up or down arrows is the way you select. Then you're going to focus on, see how these constellations are outlined. This one in particular is the one I'm going to use as my example. This is Orion, the one we seen earlier. This is our hunter. And he is up here in the sky, right here on the western horizon, you can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at today's date. And you're going to focus on one of these constellations. You don't have to focus on all of them. You're just going to pick one. And you are going to put in today's date, and you're going to draw this on the worksheet that will be loaded up in Google Classroom. And I'll let you see an example of that here in a minute, what I'm talking about. But you're going to draw, do your best drawing. I know some of you are artists and some of you are like me and you're not. Then you're going to change the date and the time for a different season. So you may want, we're just starting fall, as I mentioned earlier, you may want to change it to January. And that will get us in winter. You might want to change it to March. That'll get you out towards spring, April, May, one of those months. And I want you to then draw this image as it appears once you have selected a different date and time, and see if it moves. It may not change, but we'll see. All right, so your assignments for the weekend, you have all weekend to complete these, but please don't wait till the very end. Okay, I need you to read the constellation background. It is a PDF that I've uploaded for you. It's 3.5 pages, not very long at all, from NASA's website. And you need to read this. I repeat, you need to read this before you complete the constellation worksheet fill in the blank, because some of the information on the fill in the blank comes from your constellation background. Some of the information also comes from your PowerPoint. So if you missed anything, go back and look at the PowerPoint. Also, you can look at the constellation background, and you need to read all the way to the bottom because there's a bonus question. Okay? Then I want you to watch the YouTube video about how to use the printed planisphere. And if you have any questions about it once you're done watching it, please let me know. And we'll also discuss it a little bit in class. Then I want you to go to your virtual planisphere. And this is where you're going to get to play around with this a little bit, you know. Choose the current date and time. Then you're going to draw that. Then you're going to go over to the side, and in the top, it had a little box. In that little box is going to be information that's going to pop up. When you click on that, in the bottom box on your virtual planisphere, there'll be some facts about the constellations. I need you to pick 2 of those facts about your constellation. And remember, you only have to pick one constellation to focus on. Then you're going to change the date and time to a few months later and see how your constellation has changed. Then you're going to complete this constellation worksheet. So over here you see our fill in the blank. This is an example of our fill in the blank after you have watched the PowerPoint and after you have finished the background passage. I need you to complete this fill in the blank. Okay? Then the constellation movement worksheet. Up here at the top you see the constellation name, constellation drawing, and write one fact. It's pretty simple. You're going to put the name, and of course it will be the same name for both of these boxes, but the drawings may change. And then we will go over what you've seen in your constellation and how it changed through the seasons. Okay. Then we're going to write one fact in each box, so you will need 2. And if you can't find a fact on the virtual planisphere, you can always do a little research about your constellation. And then at the bottom, you have your creative drawing. This is where we're going to get creative. And I know some of you can do that. You're going to come up with your own constellation, give it a name, and write a short myth about it. Okay? You're going to put your drawing in the middle. Make sure drawings are appropriate. Have any questions? Please let me know, guys. Good luck.